you've left the Formula One paddock, driving your Williams, to come to a stock car track. How are you finding it?
Yeah, quite slippery, completely different to what I have driven in all my life. So yeah, new experience, good fun.
Some muddy boots there, George.
Well, I have just been cleaning them, but they are a right mess. So I think Robert actually had new boots on before this,
Yeah,
which was a mistake. So yeah.
6 races into the season. Let's look on the bright side. You've both finished all of the 6 races so far this season.
I mean, obviously that is a positive to finish first. First you have to finish, I guess. But you know, in terms of performance, we are far from where we want to be. You know, at Williams there's been a huge sort of restructure going on, and these things take time. If you want to do it right, it doesn't happen overnight. But I think the fact is now there is a light at the end of a tunnel, but it may be quite a few races down the line.
Robert, you're back in Formula One. How are you finding it now compared to how it used to be?
Yeah, after more than 8 years not driving a F1 race, it has been nice to be back on the grid. Of course, would prefer to be more in the front, but still it has been a good experience. Formula 1 has changed quite a lot.
For the better?
I would say you can judge better or worse. You know, otherwise we'll get in those discussions where all drivers they are saying, Formula 1 from 80s were proper Formula 1, now F1 cars drives alone. But still.
Are you accusing me of something there?
No, no. But you know, you always get this kind of comments, and it has changed. The races, especially the Saturday, is about getting everything from the car, but the racing approach is completely different. The way you approach the race, the way you treat the tires, manage the tires, everything it has changed quite a lot. So actually, I found the races being a bit more like endurance races, where you have to take care of different factors than a sprint race.
And George, you're new to Formula One. This man's obviously won, you know, a Grand Prix. And how are you finding it? Is it what you expected?
I mean, obviously, I'm loving it being in Formula One. It's still Formula One. It's been what I've dreamed of for so long. So just being here is an achievement. But you know, like we've both said, we're both winners. We both want to be fighting for more. So there is an element of, you know, you want to get more out of it, and I wouldn't say disappointed when it's not going the way you want it to be, but it's, you know, it's a big task. You know, we've got a big job on our hands, and the biggest difference for me is that you're not only just going out there to drive a car as fast as possible, you're going out there to try and develop the team. You have 750 people back at Williams, and it's our jobs to tell them the correct information so they can either go that way or that way with the design of the car.
But you've grown up racing Lando Norris and Alex Albon, and they're having really quite a good start to their Grand Prix career. Your car's not fast enough at the moment. Does it pain you?
No, not at all, actually. Quite the opposite. I'm very happy they're doing a good job, because, well, not only I get along with them and we're good friends, but you know, we all raced each other last year in Formula 2, and I think them having a really good season looks good for myself and for the rookies, really. The same with Charles as well. I think the better we can do as a group, let's say, it will benefit us all.
Can you learn anything from George?
Well, you know, it's if you see, he's rookie. I have been in Formula 1, but in the end, Formula 1 has changed so much that I would say in Australia I was kind of a rookie as well. Of course, I know F1 paddock pretty well. I know what it takes to work with the team, but regarding driving, I know very little. So of course, George is a very talented driver. He has won everything or most of what he could win in his career. So you know, it's always nice to see how and the new generation driver, young drivers, they have possibility to actually arrive into Formula 1 with a lot of knowledge. Probably in my age or in my days, we didn't have so much possibilities with working with F1 teams. There were not so many junior programs, you know. So now young drivers, they are coming very, very prepared.
Very well prepared, aren't they?
Yeah.
I imagine every time you both go to the factory, you go along to the design office and put your head round the door, or the wind tunnel, or the sim, and go, "What have you got for us? What's coming through the system? Are you getting any good news?"
I think so, yeah. I mean, firstly, we had to understand why the car was how it was, why it wasn't performing, and how we're going to make it better. But like I said, it's a long process. You can't do the first race, recognise it's not good, and make a change for the following race. I think, you know, even just to make a front wing, it takes, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 weeks. So, like I said, it's a long process, and I do truly believe there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but we just got to keep pushing.
There was a time when I had the only normally aspirated Formula One car in a turbo championship. I could be quite handy in the race, but in qualifying I'd be 10 seconds off pole or something. And when I shut my door, my heart wasn't singing because I knew I had no chance at the weekend. How is your heart when you leave home?
Well, you always have to, and you try to do your best for whatever you have. For sure you did as well. But definitely you would like to have better chances, and on long base term, I think it can get hard. But on the other hand, you know that you have to somehow search to do your best from yourself for a team, and then try to improve in the way that you are prepared for when you get a proper car or improved car.
I often say on TV, if you went to the Williams factory, you would be wowed, even though it's at the back of the grid at the moment. And I'm sure if I drove the car, it would blow me away in terms of its grip and its performance. The car must fundamentally feel quite good, just not quite good enough.
Yes and no, to be honest. The car is still incredibly fast. You compare it to an F1 car of 5 years ago, and we're lapping, seconds quicker on what they were doing. But, we've still got some issues with bits and bobs, which we think are relatively easy to fix, and that's why we believe there is potential there. But like I said, we don't know if this issue, when we fix it, if that's going to give us 3 tenths or 3/4 of a second. So, like I said, the potential...
Plenty of headroom in there, isn't there? Plenty of
I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Early game,
yeah.
low-hanging fruit, as Ross Brawn would call it.
But like Robert said, we've got to treat every weekend like we are fighting for something, because when the time comes and we could be fighting, we've got to be ready. So nobody's slacking at the moment, and we're trying to optimise every weekend as much as possible.
I just heard the V8 start up over there, so I think we should go racing.
Absolutely.